Hello learners and welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to help you ace another topic from class 7 science NCERT nutrition in animals, and today we are going to cover NCERT reading and marking of important points, and we will be dealing with the entire lesson in one shot, and it will be really helpful for a quick revision with some amazing tips and tricks, and it will be really beneficial if you sit with your NCERT and mark and read along with me. So let's get started. So this is the basic introduction of the lesson. So you can give a go through. The important points start from here. So plants, they prepare their food by photosynthesis because they have a pigment called chlorophyll which help them in this process. And animals directly or indirectly get their food from plants. So plants form the basis of our food. Now, what does animal nutrition include? It includes the nutrient requirement, the mode of intake of food, and its utilization by the body. And why do humans or an organism, why do they need nutrition? It is because of they need this food or the energy for growth, for repair, and functioning of the body. Now, we have already studied that food contains many components. What are they? Carbohydrates, then we have proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. So they are the components of our food. Components of our food which we require. Why do we eat food? To get all these, and that is why we are advised to have a balanced diet, because each of this component has its own importance in our body. Now, such, for example, carbohydrate is a complex substance. Many of these are complex, but we can use these only when they're converted to simpler substances, and this is what digestion does. We convert these complex substances into simpler substances, as you can see. This is converted to this. It is broken down so that we can utilize them. So they are broken down into simpler substances, and this is the definition of digestion, which is important. That is, breakdown of complex components of food into simpler substances is called digestion. Now, there are different ways of taking food, different types of animals. Not all animals have digestive system like humans. So bees and hummingbirds, we know they suck the nectar from plants. Infants of humans and many other animals, they feed on mother's milk. And this class or this phyla, this is mammals. From phyla chordates, the class of animals is mammals. We are all mammals. We feed on our mother's milk in the initial years, like infants of humans and other organisms. Now, snakes and python, they swallow the animals they prey upon. We have seen this many times as well. And aquatic animals, some of them, they filter tiny food particles floating nearby and feed upon them. There is a fact here, with the important point here is starfish. It 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 eats animals that are covered by calcium carbonate. That doesn't mean they only eat the shell. This is a calcium carbonate shell, but inside that there is the softer animal. The stomach comes out of the starfish. It swallows or eats the soft animal, and then the stomach goes back and food is slowly digested. This, we have never heard of this before, but this is true for starfish. Now let us start with digestion in humans, which is very interesting and also very, very, very important. Before we start, let me divide this entire process into 5 broad parts. Ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. These words are going to be coming in different parts, and then you will be able to connect with these 5 broad parts. Now let us start. So food They start at our buccal cavity, then food pipe, or also known as esophagus, then stomach, then small intestine, large intestine, then rectum and anus. This diagram is extremely important as it can be asked if for your school exam, your annual exam, for any exam, this diagram becomes very, very, very important, especially the labeling. So just go through the labeling, and once we learn every part in detail, you'll be able to easily label them. So keep practicing the digestive system. Now, these parts, that is buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus, I can mark it here, the buccal cavity, stomach, esophagus, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, anus, they form the alimentary canal or the digestive tract. These are known as the organs that come in the digestive tract or the alimentary canal. Now you can see that we have liver, pancreas, salivary gland. They are actually glands. They have some secretions which help in faster digestion, in breaking down of substances, and they are known as the digestive glands. So they all together they constitute the digestive system. So the digestive tract, the ones I have underlined, plus the ones I have circled, the glands, they constitute the digestive system. But this doesn't mean there are only three glands. We have more. We have gastric glands, intestinal glands, etc. So let's move forward. So now we're going to deal every part in detail and in a very easy and interesting manner as well. So first, food is entering our buccal cavity. And in the buccal cavity, this is ingestion. As I had told you, out of the 5 steps, we have come to our first step, ingestion. And here we chew the food. We chew the food, and with our teeth, we break it down mechanically, not chemically, mechanically into small pieces. That is just small pieces we break down, we chew food, right, into small pieces. But our glands, etc., they do it in a chemical process. So this is ingestion, then our teeth, and we break down into small pieces. Now each tooth is rooted in a separate socket, and this is known as heterodontic dentition, which you will learn in your higher classes. Now, our teeth, they vary in appearance and they perform different types of functions, and so they are given different names, and we have learned this as well. Before going to this, let me tell you that we have learned this and we know this, that we have milk teeth from between age 6 to 8, and we also have permanent teeth which replace these milk teeth. They break and permanent teeth replace them, and they last throughout our life. In old age or due to some disease, they may fall off, and we need to take care of our permanent teeth. Now, this is very, 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 very important. So I'm going to just show you how we can name these teeth as well as count in a very easy way. So this diagram is very helpful for us, and this table is even more important. This is important, and we'll be filling this table, and I hope all of you will fill this with me together. So first of all, we have incisors or incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. These are the 4 types of teeth which we can classify into 3: cutting and biting teeth, which is incisors or incisors, piercing and tearing teeth, canines, molar and premolar, chewing and grinding teeth. So how many incisors do we have? Incisors, canines, molar, and premolars. So we have totally 4 in the lower jaw and 4 in the upper jaw. The number is equal in upper jaw and lower jaw. Total number of teeth in lower jaw, we have 16 teeth. And upper jaw also 16 teeth. Totally, we have 32 teeth. In an adult, normal human, we have 32 teeth. So piercing and tearing teeth, we have 2, 2. Then premolars, we have here we have 2, 2, which is 4. And here also 4. Plus the molars. Here we have 6, 6. So total, how many do we have? 32. If you count, this is 8, this is 4, and this is 20. So totally we get 32 teeth. This is very important and it is easy as well if you know this particular diagram. Now our mouth also has salivary glands. So buccal cavity, we have first part of the digestive tract, and salivary glands, a gland. So this is an activity in which we take two test tubes. In one, we take some boiled rice. In one, we take chewed rice. We chew this rice for around 3 to 5 minutes and we put it in the test tube. We fill it with some water. Iodine solution is usually used for starch test. It turns blue-black when if iodine comes in contact with a starch or starch, it becomes blue-black in color. So this is widely used for testing whether something has starch present or not, and that is what we are going to do. So we will see that the boiled rice turns blue-black, which means this contains starch because it has turned blue-black. Whereas the chewed rice does not turn blue-black, which means it does not contain starch, which means starch tested negative here. Why? Because once we chewed them properly for 3 to 5 minutes, our saliva, it broke down the starch into simple sugars. This is the first phase of digestion, breaking down of substances. Complex substance starch became into a simple substance sugar. So this our chewed rice no longer contains starch, which means iodine has not turned blue-black. So this is an activity which is very important and it can be asked as well. Now we will move on to tongue. It's a fleshy muscular organ attached to the floor of the buccal cavity. It is free from the front and it can move in all directions. It helps us for talking, for chewing, and very importantly, it helps us in tasting. So there is an activity mentioned through which we can find out which part of the tongue is for which taste. But I have given you a picture here and I will also give you a trick to remember this. So first of all, we have four tastes, which our tongue has specific parts for location. We will label this as well. So we have a bitter taste, we have sour, salty, and sweet. All S's come together. All S's come together. So bitter will be here. This is bitter. Then opposite to bitter, we will put sweet because sweet is the opposite of bitter. So just opposite, we will put sweet. And here, by alphabetical order, SA, SO, salty and sour. Very simple. Bitter, opposite the bitter, sweet. Then in alphabetical order, salty and sour. Let's move forward. Next is the food pipe or esophagus. Now the swallowed food from buccal cavity, it passes on to the esophagus or the food pipe and it runs along the neck and chest and it is pushed the movement of the wall. It is so important and this has a special name called peristaltic movement. And this is also known as peristalsis. And this is not only in our esophagus, this is through the entire alimentary canal, the entire digestive tract. Food is pushed down only through this peristaltic movement. And they have some special muscles which help in this movement. The inner walls of these parts, they have some muscles which help in this movement. And sometimes food may not be accepted by our stomach and is vomited out. Now let's move on to the stomach. So the stomach is like a flattened U and it is thick walled. It's a thick walled, it's a bag, it's like a sack. Now, as you know, stomach, I can show you. We know this is the stomach. It connects the food pipe and the small intestine. Here, this is the opening of small intestine. This is the closing of the food pipe. So the stomach connects both of them. And you can look at the shape as well. Now, it receives food from the food pipe, yes, and it opens into the small intestine, as I had mentioned. Now, inner lining of the stomach, it has gastric glands, which secrete gastric juices. So we have another gland here. Now, it secretes three things: mucus, HCl, and also some other digestive juices. The names you will be learning in your higher classes. Now, what does mucus do? It protects. It protects the wall from the acid. It protects the lining of the stomach from this acid, because acid is corrosive. So this, to avoid that, we have mucus which protects the lining of the stomach. The acid kills many of the bacteria that enter with food, and it makes the medium acidic, because this is an acid and digestive juices want an acidic medium to do their functions properly. They want an acidic medium. So this HCl, as it is a very strong acid, it makes the food acidic so that these digestive juices can act. Along with that, it also kills germs and bacteria. Now, these digestive juices, they break down protein into simpler substances. So in the buccal cavity, we broke down starch into simple sugars. And in the stomach, we are breaking down proteins. Let's move forward. Also, there is some extra information given here. So, the working of the stomach, how was it discovered? You can give a go through. So, a person was actually hit by a bullet. Alexis Saint Martin was hit by a bullet, a shotgun, and it made like a hole or a serious damage on his stomach. And the doctor, William Beaumont, he could save him, but the hole he couldn't close it properly. So because medicine was not so advanced that time, he couldn't close it properly, just bandaged it. But because he saved him, he cured him, he could actually see the working of the stomach, how juices are secreted, etc. So he made these wonderful observations. So stomach was churning food. There is a churning motion. This is the important point in this. Churning motion happens and it churns the food, and it secretes a fluid which digests the food. And he also saw that stomach opens into the intestine only after the digestion is completed. And the small intestine, this is very, 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 very important. Why is it so important? Because food is completely digested here. Complete digestion of food takes place in the small intestine. All components, fats, proteins, starch, everything is broken down into simple substances ready to absorb. Now, as I said, ingestion completed, digestion will be completed here. So small intestine, though it is called small intestine, it is very long, 7.5 meters long, longer than the large intestine. Large intestine is only 1.5 meters long. So 6 meters longer the small intestine is, yet it is called small intestine. So it receives some secretions from liver and pancreas. So as I said, there are glands, right? Liver, we have pancreas. Salivary glands, we completed. Gastric glands, completed. We also have intestinal glands. So these three glands, they pour their secretions into small intestine. That is why the food is completely digested here. All my components of food will get digested in the small intestine. Now we will see a bit in brief about each of these glands. So this is about the liver. It is a reddish brown gland. It is a reddish brown gland, and it is the largest gland of the body. Largest gland is liver. Whereas largest organ is skin. Important. Largest gland is liver and largest organ is skin. Now, the upper part of the abdomen, this is located in the upper part of the abdomen, and it is the largest gland. It secretes bile, and it is stored in a sac called gallbladder. Now, in the previous diagram, you must have seen gallbladder. I marked it neither as an organ or a part of the digestive tract, nor as a gland, because gallbladder stores the secretion from liver. So liver secretes bile, which is stored. It's like a sac, like this, and this stores bile. It doesn't secrete anything. It stores bile, and bile, it plays an important role in the digestion of fats. So my starch was digested in the buccal cavity. Not completely digested, but yes, it was broken down into simple components like simple sugars. Then proteins in the stomach. Now fats, my bile is going to take care of. Then moving to pancreas. Now it is a large cream. This is cream, large cream colored gland located just below the stomach. And the pancreatic juice, it secretes pancreatic juice which acts on carbohydrates, fats, proteins and changes them into simpler forms. Now the partly digested food reaches the lower part of small intestine where it completes the digestion of all components as mentioned. Everything is completed here. So many secretions, so many processes that food is completely digested. And I will just give it to you in an easier form. So first of all, liver secretes bile, acts on fats. Pancreas secrete pancreatic juices and they act on carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Intestinal juice, that is from the intestinal glands, they secrete intestinal juices and they complete the digestion of all components. So here we have everything completed, which means ingestion completed, digestion completed, 3 processes left. This is very, 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 very important. The final end products. What are the final end products? Carbohydrates get converted into simple sugars like glucose. Example, glucose is a simple sugar. Then fats get converted to fatty acids and glycerol. And I don't have space, I will write it down. Proteins get converted into amino acid or amino acid. So this is very important. These conversions are very important. Moving on to absorption. Now this is as important as the previous slide. In the previous slide, we saw how the food is digested. But here, how is it absorbed? So ingestion we completed, then digestion we completed. Now we are moving on to absorption and assimilation. First, absorption. Now, in circulation chapter, we saw the functions of blood. We saw it carries oxygen from lungs to heart, waste materials, and we also saw that it transports digested food or the nutrients from small intestine to various parts of the body for repair, growth, etc. So how does this happen? How does small intestine send this? Small intestine does the process of absorption takes place here. How? Small intestine has finger-like projections. Finger-like projections known as villi. Singular form, villus. Villi are like this, finger-like. They don't look like this, but this is just for understanding. Finger-like through the surface of the small intestine. What they do is they have so many blood vessels. Now we know blood is the one who's going to transport, so they have blood vessels. So these blood vessels, they carry the digested food and travel and transport it throughout the body. Now, why do we have such finger-like outgrowths? Why is it not like a piece of paper? Or why is this the surface in itself not absorbed? Why do we have these finger-like projections? Now, in circulation, we also learned that roots, they are not like this. They have root hair. This is root hair. They increase the surface area for absorption. Similarly, here we have villi, finger-like outgrowths. They increase the surface area of absorption. This is very important. When you think of villi, you have to only think of increasing surface area for absorption. So you can see What is the role of villi? It increase the surface area for absorption of the digestive food. Connect this with root hair. They increase the absorption area for water and minerals. So they have thin and small blood vessels. Over there, they have xylem. They have xylem here. Here, there's thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. And the surface of villi absorbs these materials and they are transported via the blood vessels to various parts of the body. And they are used to build complex substances. First, we broke them down. We broke them so that we can absorb them. But now in the cell, according to cellular needs, we will make complex substances, repair, etc., such as proteins. Protein is a complex substance. We broke down proteins here. Here we broke down proteins into amino acids, but according to cellular requirements, we'll again make proteins for the requirement of the body. This is assimilation. Absorption completed, then how we utilize it, how we build substances, how do we utilize absorbed food. This is assimilation. Now we have only egestion left. We completed ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation. Now, for example, there is an example in the cells. Glucose, it breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. This process is actually respiration. Respiration takes place as well. So, for example, my blood is going to transport glucose to various parts of the body. It is going to react, break down with the help of oxygen and release energy. Oxygen I got from respiration. So all this is interconnected. These complex mechanisms, they're simply interconnected. Now, there is also some food that remains undigested and unabsorbed. Everything we cannot. So, some will remain as waste, undigested, unabsorbed. Now they will enter the large intestine. Large intestine. Now, large intestine is wider but shorter. So it is called large intestine. It is only 1.5 meter, as I had said, 6 meters shorter than the small intestine. Now, function is to absorb water, some salts. Sometimes it even absorbs certain drugs. Now, it absorbs water, salts from the undigested food material, and the remaining waste it passes on to the rectum. After absorbing all from the undigested, unabsorbed food, the water is absorbed, the salts are absorbed. Okay, the rest, whatever still waste is left, this passes on to the rectum and it stays there. It is stored as semi-solid feces, and this fecal matter is removed through the anus through egestion. So we completed all our processes in digestion. Sorry, egestion. Sorry. This is egestion. This is ingestion, then we have digestion, then we have absorption, then we have assimilation, and then finally we have egestion. So first ingestion, ingestion takes place in buccal cavity. Digestion gets completed in small intestine, absorption also, and assimilation in various parts of the body takes place. Then egestion finally through the anus. Now, diarrhea, you can give a read through. You can just have an idea of what diarrhea is, why it is caused. An important point here is oral rehydration solution. Make sure to read through the box. Now we will move to grass eating animals. Have you ever thought why we don't eat grass? Why don't we eat grass? Because grass is rich in cellulose. It is a type of carbohydrate. It is rich in cellulose. But animals, we cannot digest cellulose. We don't have that mechanism to digest cellulose. Whereas certain animals called ruminants, such as cow can eat grass because they are ruminants. They have a certain bacteria which digests cellulose. Now, one small work for you is try to find out the name of this bacteria and do put it in the comments. And in the upcoming videos, I will show your name in the comments if you have given me the right answer. Try to search out what is the name of that bacteria which helps in the digestion of the cellulose. Humans don't have this bacteria. Humans and other organisms who don't eat grass, we don't have this bacteria. Thus, we cannot eat grass. But ruminants, they can eat such grass and food rich in cellulose. And so they eat such things and they have this bacteria which helps them digest. We cannot digest this grass. So cows, buffaloes, other grass eating animals, they are grass eating animals. They chew continuously even when they're not eating. Why? Because they quickly swallow grass. They don't chew in much, they just swallow and it gets stored in a part of the stomach. This entire part is stomach, but this rumen, this is just a part of the stomach. It is stored here. In rumen, it is stored. Then after a while, it comes in small partially, it gets stored and it is little bit digested, only partially digested. And this is known as cud. Cud. It is partially digested. Later, the cud returns to the mouth. And in small lumps, it won't come as a whole, it will come as small lumps, and the animal then chews this. Chews this too. Then that is why they keep chewing. You can see they're continuously chewing. They're actually chewing cud, not the grass directly. They are chewing the cud and they're chewing. Then later they will swallow and then the digestive process continues. So this process is called rumination and these animals are called ruminants. So this is extremely important. It can be asked for 5 marks, 3 marks, and you draw the diagram. This can be asked. And if any question for 3 mark, 2 mark, 5 mark is asked relating to this and even to the next topic that is digestion amoeba, if you draw the diagram, then you will, and if you have written things related to the concept, then you will definitely get full marks for that question. So do not forget to learn this diagram even when it comes to human digestion. So yes, this was about digestion. That is, they digestion in grass-eating animals. They have a certain bacteria which you have to find out and tell me in the comments, and which humans don't have. They actually digest this cellulose, as you can see, in a large sac between their esophagus and their small intestine, in a part of their stomach. And this is done by the action of certain bacteria, which we do not present in humans, and they store it in a part called rumen, part of the stomach, where it is partially digested and into cud. And then this cud comes in small lumps into the mouth, which they keep chewing, and later they swallow and digest this. I hope you all understood the digestion in grass-eating animals. Let's move forward to amoeba. So, yeah, this is an introduction for the next topic, that is about animals which possess digestive system. We have learned, for example, grass-eating animals, mammals like humans, etc. But some organisms don't have mouth, don't have a digestive system. Then how? Because all organisms, they need nutrition for their survival. They need nutrition, which we get from food. So somehow they need to ingest, digest food, absorb the nutrients. Only then can they sustain. So how do different organisms do it? So basically that depends on mode of intake of food. It all depends on our mode of intake, our type of digestion, how we digest, how we assimilate. Everything depends on this mode of intake. There will be other factors, but this is a baseline mode of intake. Now, amoeba is single celled, it is microscopic, single celled, and it is found usually in pond water. So it has a cell membrane, rounded, dense nucleus, and bubble-like vacuoles as well in its cytoplasm. Amoeba, it constantly changes its shape and position because it is like this, irregular, like this. All cell organelles will be there, but it is sometimes it can be like this, then it will become like this, then it can become like this. It is irregular shape, it doesn't have a shape as such. So this has some features which helps it acquire food. That is, yes, it constantly changes its shape and position, so it pushes out one or more finger like projections. In small intestine, humans have villi. but they're projections. In this amoeba surface, it keeps pushing these out in, depends on its position, shape, etc. It is moving and changing continuously, constantly. So this is known as pseudopodia. Pseudo and podia. Pseudo means false and podia means feet. False feet. And this helps in its movement and capture food. So pseudopodia, it helps in movement as well as capture food. Important. This is how you need to try and make a question out of every sentence, and then definitely you will ace the topic. Now, amoeba, it feeds on microscopic organisms. Whenever it senses this food, it pushes out the pseudopodia. This is like it helps to engulf the food particle, because this comes out, for example, this is the food particle, this is the pseudopodia. This is sensing the food. Now, what it will do, this is the amoeba particle, and it is going to engulf the food like this. It is going to completely cover it through its pseudopodia. See, it has fused over the food particle. Now it is trapped. This is trapped, and it is trapped in a food vacuole. Not just trapped, it's trapped in a food vacuole. For example, there you can see they have labeled two food vacuoles. It will be trapped in its food vacuole. Even amoeba has digestive juices. They are secreted into this food vacuole. They act on the food, they break it into simpler substances. The process is same, but the way it happens is different in different organisms. So yes, it's broken down into simpler substances. Then gradually this is absorbed, they are utilized. So ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion is also going to happen. The undigested residue is expelled out. So these 5 processes are key, and it happens in almost every organism which wants to acquire nutrition. Now, this basic process of digestion of food and release of energy is same in all animals. But the transport and absorption, yes. So we, as it's mentioned, the transport of food absorbed by insects and various parts of the body. This process we have learned in the circulation chapter through blood. So that's all for this lesson. And I hope all of you enjoyed and understood this topic. Thank you so much for watching. And do not forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Do hit the notification button so that you don't miss on any of the new videos, and do not forget to comment down below the answer for the bacteria, as well as any more topics or videos that you would like to watch. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Until then, bye bye.